Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Brighton podcast. It's your boy, Jamie G, joined by Joe Richardson. Joe, how are we feeling?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. The game is later tonight, so it's going to be a tough one considering the form we're on. But you know, a better team, better quality. So the Seagulls actually show up for the first time in about 3 months. That's what it feels like. 3 months.
100%. I mean, the games are coming thick and fast, which is kind of a terrible thing for us when we are in such bad form. But I guess it could also be a good thing in terms of you forget what's happened before and you just try and keep up the intensity, and then hopefully you'll finally get a win. And then it's not the easiest game that we are coming up against. Aston Villa, very good side. Champions League side, 5th in the Champions League currently. But they have struggled more in the Premier League this season than last season, let's say, and than they have in the Champions League. They're sitting 9th, only one spot above us. So it's a real clash, mid-table clash at its finest. Yeah. 9th versus 10th. How do you kind of see the game going?
I think it will be a tough one. I don't think there'll be many goals in it at all. I feel like the thing is with Aston Villa is that I feel like they do some of their worst stuff has been after Champions League games. They haven't had a Champions League game in a while now. I think the last one was probably
2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
3-4 weeks ago, maybe. So, but obviously they just got battered by Newcastle. But I don't think that Newcastle are in a really good run of form at the moment, and Aston Villa a little bit topsy-turvy. Now, if you go to where we're at the moment, we're in an awful run of form. But if you go to before this run of form sort of started, we were doing pretty decent against the big teams. So I am hoping for a performance similar to the first half against Liverpool, and even the Bournemouth game, to be fair, where I thought we were really good. It needs to be resolute at the back. Like, it needs to be solid, and we need to actually find the net. I don't think we're gonna have as many chances as we did against Brentford, but hopefully we can actually take the chances that we do get, and that's probably the key to success. I think is just being able to actually. I know it sounds obvious, but just being able to convert and still be able to sort of fashion those chances here and there, and then being a little bit more resolute at the back, I think is sort of the only way that we're really gonna. It needs to be a massive performance boost. I think the performance needs to go up, otherwise we could actually get pummeled. But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, you speak about getting pummeled. The last time we went to the Villa ground, is that what they call it? It was a 6-1 thumping, which I imagine all of our fans have and are trying to at least forget about. It happened, which was a long time ago, the 30th of September. I mean, that's over a year. Solly March was still playing back then. So, that was pre-Solly March injury. That's how long ago that was. We did resurrect that last season as well by getting a 1-0 win at the Amex. So, we changed that. And that was with Adam Webster in the team. We've been very critical of Adam Webster. He kept a clean sheet against Ollie Watkins. You know, I mean, what a player.
Did he hold? Was he one of the culprits that held 6 though?
Probably. I should actually look that up.
Because I think in the 6-1, Ollie Watkins got a hat trick. So
yeah, Ollie Watkins got a hat trick and assisted one. That was when he started this tear of just terrorizing the league.
Yeah,
but yeah. You mentioned we should kind of be strong at the back. It's interesting. Villa, obviously, being so renowned, they're kind of in a striker up and down of what's it called? The seesaw of which one do they play? They've got 2.
No, it's like roulette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily for them, it makes their decision easier that John Duran's been suspended for
slipping.
For falling over.
Yeah.
He's been suspended for 3 games, so it will be Watkins again, probably don't know whether that's a good news for us. Maybe he enjoys playing against us. He's going to lick his lips at Lewis Dunk, probably. Going to have him on toast.
To be honest, I think it might be a little bit better to be Ollie Watkins than John Duran. John Duran is just. He's just a nightmare, man. I don't think I've seen a striker who has better ball striking ability than the technique that he uses when he's hitting the ball is just insane. And when he wants to put his foot through it, he's taking layers off the ball, mate. He's like hitting the bar. The goal's moving out of the ground. It's insane. And the thing is that when he's like, you can actually, he's not a donkey. That's the thing. Don't get twisted. He's not a donkey. The only donkey thing is that when he fell over and studded on whoever it was, he was being a donkey then, because I've never seen anyone fall over in 4 stages before.
Yeah.
And not only has he stood on him once, he's then tried to fling his leg out to stop from surfboarding him basically, and then he just studded him again. So it definitely wasn't a red card, there's no way.
No.
But I think, but it's a good thing for us. That
it was a red card.
Yeah. But it's good he's not playing.
Yeah, I think he has. His form is actually kind of was worrying me going into this game. So the fact that he isn't playing is a good thing, I think. And Watkins, it's not a bad replacement to have. So I think he'll still cause problems. They haven't actually been that good going forward this season compared to how they were last season. Last season, it felt like they were scoring week in, week out. This season, they've scored less than us. They're on 26, which I think kind of sits in the middle of the table in the Prem. So I don't know whether it's teams have maybe found them out, or maybe their just confidence isn't as high. And I think maybe the drop-off in performance that Ollie Watkins has kind of seen this season has been part of the reason that they haven't lived up to, or they haven't scored as many goals as they were last season. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe because every time I watch Villa, Ollie Watkins seems to not be doing what he was last season.
I think for you touched on it before we started recording that you think that they seem a little bit more resolute at the back. Obviously saying that coming off a 3-0 loss in Newcastle. But I think that the issue there is that obviously if you want to be a little bit more a little bit more solid at the back, it does take a little bit away from your sort of attacking prowess. And the thing with them is that you would like to think that everyone says, defense wins you leagues and stuff like this. But for them, taking away, I mean, they didn't even really lose much in terms of attacking personnel, I don't think.
No.
I think Diaby left, but he was out of favour pretty early on in the season. And then, I mean, who else even is there? Zaniolo doesn't count, really.
This is what's reminded me. Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey,
he was a revolution for them last
season.
And his partnership with Ollie Watkins, and this season, Leon Bailey has gone back to the Leon Bailey that we've all actually known to see more often in the last couple of years. I think last year was probably just an anomaly, maybe.
Yeah, well, do you know what it was? It was when he started cussing out the Jamaican national team is when it started going downhill. I think that's the issue for him.
The curse.
But he also had a really good connection with Ollie Watkins, and now I think that Ollie Watkins is sort of in and out of the team because he is trying to essentially give them both a sort of John Duran, because John Duran's 22 or something, 21, 22 or something stupid like that. And I think that with the rotation to give him a chance, because he's obviously proved that he can do it at the highest level. Can he do it consistently? And when Ollie Watkins is dropping off, or if he's injured or whatever, John Duran's taken those opportunities. But I don't know if he has the exact same link, because they are quite different, Ollie Watkins and John Duran. John Duran seems like a player who will fashion the chances for himself, whereas I feel like Ollie Watkins needs a really good service to sort of thrive. And without Leon Bailey being there, obviously that takes away from Leon Bailey's sort of assists, and that's obviously makes you look so much better. And then obviously it's also taken away from the goals for Ollie Watkins as well. So I think that like those sort of like we see the drop off in those two, but then the emergence of John Duran to sort of come to that sort of like, okay, this is one of the best young strikers potentially in Europe. And I think it's obviously a good thing, but also I think like it's also like taken away a little bit. They're more sharing the goals out now than it was just sort of like Ollie Watkins. Pray to God, basically.
Yeah, I think in the next segment we will be talking about some of the players that are a threat for them this season and that have really come on, and I think we all know who we're talking about. A certain Morgan Rogers and the threat that he poses for Brighton. So stick around after this ad break. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day. And we are back with a daily Brighton podcast. So let's talk about him. So I guess we both think the exact same thing. The biggest threat that they have, and the one that will probably cause us problems in this game later today, will be Morgan Rogers. Joe, what have you seen from Morgan Rogers, and what do you like about his game?
I'm not gonna lie, what haven't I seen from Morgan Rogers, to be honest? He's a killer, mate, honestly. He's I just spoke about one of the best young strikers potentially in Europe, and I think you've got another maybe, well, I don't even know what you'd want to call him really. He's sort of like a 10, isn't he? So like one of the best sort of attacking midfielders in Europe as well. One of the best young attacking midfielders in Europe. And it's just he has this tenacity about him. Incredible ball retention, but not in the case of like, obviously you have ball retention in terms of like Sergio Busquets where he doesn't lose the ball, but he also isn't progressing the ball running forward. Whereas Morgan Rogers has this mad knack of running with the ball. You can't get it off of him. He's strong, low centre of gravity, he can twist and turn everything. And with Morgan Rogers, I think, like as soon as he gets that, he has some end product, but as soon as he gets that end product up to like that sort of next level, we're seeing why the potentially Cole Palmer is going to be shaking in his boots, mate, because Cole Palmer sort of got all of that on lock already. Whereas like Morgan Rogers, I think has physically is a bit better. But I just think that we saw it with Damsgaard against Brentford, and Damsgaard, let's be honest, he's not the quickest. Morgan Rogers has the pace and the strength on him, probably. Damsgaard was twisting up bare, man. He ran past, I think he ran past Belabor, which is worrying.
Dunk.
Dunk.
Put it to the side of Dunk.
To be fair, I think a couple man could run past Dunk. I put a couple man that I know down the local, I think could. And then, like, it's just that he, against Man City, that performance was insane for Morgan Rogers. And I just hope that Hursuler obviously identifies this. I mean, he's going to know that he's a good player, isn't he? But like, I hope that there is some precautions taken. Another thing that I wanted to touch on about Morgan Rogers is such a handful. And I think he takes away a lot of the sort of interest towards Tealemans, but Tealemans is the creative player where he is basically wherever he is on the pitch. And Morgan Rogers sort of just hassling and running around and keeping the ball. It just sort of takes away from like any sort of eyes on Tealemans, who he has probably one like final ball is up there. I'm not gonna lie, it's up there. The one, I don't know if it was Duran's goal or Morgan Rogers' goal himself, but there was one pass he did in the Man City game which was insane. Took like 4 players out of the game, and the two of them, they don't necessarily like, they have synergy together, but it's like it's not even like meant to be that way. It's just sort of the way that they naturally both play. sort of just complements each other, but like without them sort of linking up or anything like that. And with him being able to drive and to create stuff on his own, and then Tealemans is there to be able to sort of pick players out, it's a really deadly combination. And that's the area where I've sort of highlighted for this game to sort of be like, okay, this is where there's danger. So like I'm looking for that. I'm predicting that Morgan Rogers goal or a Tealemans assist, or even maybe both. If it happens, then obviously send me money.
Yeah, I mean, some stats here. Successful dribbles, Morgan Rogers in the top 3 of the league with 34. Chances created, he's created 27 in the league, which I believe is in the top 5 or maybe 10. So yeah, he is a threat all round. And like you said about Damsgaard running through our midfield and just having that space, this is where Morgan Rogers thrives. It's such a old school football is what Morgan Rogers reminds me of. He has like so much freedom and so much. He plays with like such a skill. Like you don't see. I think Pep Guardiola's kind of taken, and there's this big conversation about Pep Guardiola taking out any fun or creativity in players now. Whereas I feel like Morgan Rogers still has that in him. Like he is still so good on the ball, close control, dribbling is just insanely good.
That's probably why he left City. He was at City, wasn't
he? He probably
said,
left City.
Bun this, mate. I can't even do anything, mate. I just have to pass the ball to Haaland. Well, obviously he wasn't there then, but like that's this whole thing. Is it like I'm just a system player now, so let me just go enjoy myself elsewhere.
Luckily, Aston Villa grabbed him when he wasn't a robot. That's basically Pep Guardiola turns people into robots.
Where was he in the Championship?
Lincoln. Championship Middlesbrough, and then he was at he's gone from Man City, then he got loaned out to Lincoln, then he was at Middlesbrough last season, or 2 seasons ago, and then made the switch to a Villa. I think there was a team in between that as well, but I'm not actually sure.
What a find that is, man.
Yeah, what a find. That's a sign of
give that scout I mean, to be fair, the scout's probably gone, he used to play for Man City. Decent, yeah.
Man City's academy, tick.
Literally.
I feel like the thing with Morgan Rogers, he drops into the midfield as well, picks up the ball, and then drives at you, kind of like you said and you touched on earlier with Mikael Damsgaard did against us with Brentford. He picked up that ball in an area space and then just started driving at us, and no one could tackle him because of close control. This is where I kind of the only way to kind of mitigate him or like to make sure he doesn't do much throughout the game. I think Belieber will just be tasked with like being the Ander Herrera, where he just doesn't leave alone, and just like your sole duty will be to mark Morgan Rogers and make sure he doesn't touch the ball as much, or to tackle him or clamp him as soon as he does get the ball. That's kind of the way I see, because we saw Belieber against Brentford play a much deeper role. He wasn't that advanced forward because he had Matt O'Reilly by the side of him and then Enciso in front, so he was that proper CDM.
He basically can't, to be fair.
So that's what I see that happening again. I see Belieber being tasked because he's the only one that can also match him physically. Belieber has that burst of pace, he has the strength, he has the height as well to kind of keep Morgan Rogers at bay. At least I hope, anyway. Another player I want to touch on is, and this is a player I feel gets zero love for Aston Villa, so I'm going to use our podcast.
It's not John McGinn, is it?
It's John McGinn. Mate, This guy is class.
You've lost me.
He's actually so underrated. He's one of the most underrated players because no one rates him because he's Scottish, he's small, he's stocky, and he's called John McGinn. Not really the player you look up.
He throws ass into defenders more than Ice Spice.
His ball retention's mad. Like you actually can't get the ball off him because he throws ass on players.
He actually reminds me of James Milner a little bit,
and I can see that because it's the running. He is such a menace, like such a harasser. That's the
thing. Yeah, that's mad. the thing with him is that, like, I think that he's just sort of there to like keep everyone in check, and he's just there to be like, I'm going to set the example by the way that I play, and then I'm going to shout at people.
Yeah.
And when I get the ball, I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'm just going to get it, keep it,
Plays it on.
Keep it ticking. I'll let Tealemans give away the ball.
Yeah.
I'll let Morgan Rogers run around with the ball and lose the ball maybe here and there, whatever. But I'm just going to run around, be a pest, and I'm just going to keep it ticking. And you need that in every team.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably where Morgan Rogers has that freedom to kind of, because he knows John McGinn's behind him.
Onana's also there.
Onana's
also there to sweep things up. So
yeah, and Boubacar Kamara, I think, started playing now as well more frequently.
Well, they can't have all of them.
Luckily for us, no. They can only pick 3 of them.
Yeah, you can't have that many, mate. You can't have Tealemans, Onana, McGinn, Camera, Morgan Rogers all at the same time.
You watch till tonight. They'll actually put them in.
See, McGinn's on the left for some reason.
He'd still do a job. That's the mad thing. I reckon wherever you put him, he'll do a job because he's just a pest, like you say. But yeah, and like you say, he keeps things ticking. It's mad that he's actually playing and thriving in the Champions League as well. So
yeah,
shout out to
John McGinn. Yeah.
Fair play to you, bud. But in this next segment, we're going to be talking about how we can hurt them this time. And if we can hurt them.
Can we? Yeah, as I say. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
And we are back with a daily Brighton podcast. So, Joe, it's not been a good run of form lately, as we touched on earlier.
No.
And I also want to touch on the last 10 that we've had with Villa. We've lost 5, drawn 3, and only won 2. That 1-0 in the last game.
The 1-0 in the last one.
So that's good. We've got the upper hand recently on them. But yeah. Where can we hurt them if we can?
I think for me, one of the things that I think might play into our favour is I don't massively think that their defence likes to. If Digne's playing, I'd like to target him because I think Digne's pony, to be honest with you. But I just think their defenders don't really like being pulled around a lot, that sort of like quick interplay around the edge of the box and stuff, which we're quite good at. I don't think they like it. I do think that João Pedro is going to have to buck his ideas up a little bit because he's going to need to put in some sort of performance where, and also Matoma I don't think is getting criticised enough for his performances because the output's not quite there, and like it's all good that he's sick at dribbling and he can do it when the ball gets pinged to him diagonally, he touches the ball down really nicely. But like, I mean, I don't really care for it too much as long as you need to be showing me something a bit more here. We need to have that front 4 sort of firing. I want to see Enciso picking up really awkward positions for their defenders and putting his chances away, please. For the love of God, put his chances away. And I think that's really the only way that we are going to hurt them, to be honest with you. I think that if we can get that ball moving around the edge of the box and sort of maybe even hit them on the counter every now and again, something along them lines, I think is probably our only chance here. I think we're not outgunned, but we're probably a little bit. I mean, they're so close to us at the table, so you can't even really say that. But if they turn up, right, we'd need to be at our best to be able to match them. And if they turn up and we play like we have been, we could get absolutely hammered. And then we're going to have to come on here and cuss out all our players. Like the 3 of us are just going to come out here and just end up cussing out Lewis Dunk. You know how it goes. It's a vicious cycle. We're 78 episodes in now.
Yeah.
And when the results don't go away, we come here and it's a witch hunt.
Hopefully it won't be a witch hunt come tomorrow. But yeah, like you say, I feel like our front 4 need to up their game, like especially finishing wise. One thing I did want to point out and say in yesterday's podcast is one player I thought did really well, and I think it was only his second start this season, Gruder. I thought he was actually very,
Yeah,
very good. I know he was up against Keane Lewis Potter, who isn't a fullback, but Lewis Potter didn't have a clue what way Gruder was going to go. Like,
yeah.
whether it was going to be to the byline or whether he was going to cut in and shoot or play a pass to Enciso, which would inevitably go wide. It was I thought Gruder was very bright when he came on, and then I think he's been much better just in yesterday's performance than Minter and Adingra have been. So I think I would love to see Gruder get another start, get another go at it, and I
Yeah.
want to see. I don't know whether I've actually seen this online, right? People are calling for Ruta to play over Pedro. How do you feel about
Ooh.
that? Up top.
What, to play
Because,
through the middle? It's
yeah,
basically the same thing, isn't it? I
it is
don't
basically the
really.
same thing, but
Yeah.
we won't have the temper tantrum of João Pedro up
Why
top.
don't we just put? Why don't we just like? I guess that doesn't really work. I think his CISO needs to. I would actually go. My front four would be it would be Gruder in CISO, Gruder in CISO, Adingra, and Adingra on the left,
Yeah.
and then probably Ferguson. But the only thing is that João Pedro, it would either be that or it would be Ferguson up top and João Pedro in behind.
Yeah.
Some sort of variation on that, basically. I don't want to see Rutter on the right. I don't want to see Adingra on the right. So
No.
that I don't
see Minter on the right.
I don't want to see. Well, I mean, he's good to come off to stretch at the end.
Yeah.
But I just want to see something, mate. I need him to come up with something that's going to work, because I keep defending him and saying he's getting cussed out by all the fans. They're telling him to go, bring De Zerbi back. What? Do you think De Zerbi going to want to come back after he's been complaining about spending peas for a year and a half, and then we get rid of him, he leaves, and then the next person we come in, out of spite, we just spend 200 million. You think he wants to come back? We've just taken the mickey out of him. But yeah, it needs to be a change. It needs to be something that we can go forward with for these upcoming games, and then when Welbeck's back, he can just seamlessly fit in. Do you know what I mean?
I think I would go my front four. Gruder. In Cisa, he showed a lot of light in the performance against Brentford.
Yep.
I'm going to stick with Matoma. Although he, like you say, his output needs to improve.
He's on the hit list.
Exactly. He's next on the witch hunt, to be honest. Yeah. I don't see any more. So I don't see any more from him. He might be added to the witch hunt.
I know it's not all about it, but I need GA immediately. I need goals or assists now.
And then I'd put Ruter up front. I want to see João Pedro try and earn his spot back, because I feel like he just below par performances. We can't keep letting him get away with it.
Yeah, because that 100 mil that we're going to be asking for in the summer is going to plummet.
Yeah, if he keeps
trying to elbow people and stuff.
Then. Exactly. Bench him just for trying to assault someone on the pitch.
Do you know what's mad though? Clubs will be looking at that as well. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I mean, we have friends that are scouts.
Mm-hmm. They look at everything.
Yeah, they look at everything, mate. Yeah,
exactly.
Personality, mate. Yeah, I don't think that's a great look. You played pony and you tried to kill someone on the picture. I mean, it's not. It's actually a terrible look, to be fair.
And I think with Ruter up front, you get much more intensity, and we know that Villa love to play out from the back, and Pau Torres great on the ball. Constance is actually very decent on the ball as well.
Yeah,
and Diego Carlos, I think he's a bit. I don't know who plays over him or Constance. I think Constance sometimes plays at the right. But Diego Carlos, I think he's been pretty decent on the ball as well, although he is not as good as I thought he was going to be fair. But I think Ruter would then be able to just cause them problems in terms of just pressing, being the energy, being kind of a nuisance. And same with Enciso. And that's where maybe we can get something out of that, just pressing them up high. But yeah,
Hopefully.
that's what I think.
I think Ezra Connor's been playing Fortnite. I'm not gonna lie, with Aaron Ramsdale and Dominic Solanke. I believe so. I don't know. He was cussing out Dominic Solanke on.
I think we're on live stream.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, with
Well,
what's matey that has no posture? Danny Aaron's.
Danny Aaron's.
Yeah, I think they're all playing together.
Wow.
Hopefully, still in the mindset of Fortnite, mate.
Exactly.
We need something, mate. As you can tell, we're desperate.
We need hope.
We actually need hope from anywhere.
I just want to see a couple goals go in, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And on that note, we will end this podcast. We look forward to watching tonight. We hope you look forward to it, and we hope we get a win tonight. So fingers crossed, and we will be back tomorrow with a review of the Brighton Aston Villa game, and back on Wildcard Wednesday to do some more things.
Some fun more things.
And on that note, see you later.
Farewell.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.